Okay, so a couple days have gone by. I have just been wrapping things up. It's just been little things that I haven't felt like I've needed to film. So got like the intake manifold back on, the wiring harness is all plugged up, put new spark plugs in it. I got some fluid in the reservoir. I had to tighten down a couple of the fittings too because there was some leaks. But what we're going to do now is just kind of finish wrapping things up. I still gotta put my downpipe on and my wastegate. Right now I'm going to end up cutting up this pipe, this intercore pipe, to get this to fit on my throttle body. I got this 4-inch to 3-inch coupler, so oh, I got it off of eBay. So I'm gonna end up making this fit because I'm just gonna have it elbowing down, which will be nice because it'll keep it pretty clean. And then after I get this pipe finished up, I want to work on putting the downpipe on with the wastegate, and then that should be about it, except for a couple small things with the engine bay. And then we'll be doing the fuel system, which that should be it for what I can remember. We're getting closer, we're getting there. So let's get started on this. It's gonna be a lot of fun having to cut it, so yeah. So it's kind of hard to see from this angle, but I got this elbow in just to get an idea of where I need to cut this. This is sitting down here and it's still kind of squished, so right where this AC line is, I made a Sharpie mark. So we'll pull that out, get some tape around it for a good straight line, and then we'll cut it. I'm probably going to have to cut it a little bit shorter, but I would rather have to cut more later than accidentally cut too much. Alright, got it all taped up, now it's ready to cut. Alright, so I got lucky enough that I only had to cut the one time. This was such a pain to get on. This coupler, it's a 4-inch and this is a 90mm, so I mean it's probably going to be the best fit versus a 3.5. It's still a little loose, so we'll just double check after I use a hose clamp that everything is secure. I did have to take off one of these arms that was in this spot right down here. You could see a little white mark where it was broken off, but it was rubbing on this and was pushing it in, which was making it hard. So cool. Okay, so today is the day where we're going to be doing our fuel system. We're going to start by taking out the fuel hat just so we can get that all built, because that's going to be, you know, the main piece. Current plan of attack: build the fuel hat, get it all wired in, and then start building the lines. I made this beautiful bracket for my fuel pressure regulator. I gotta paint it and stuff so it doesn't rust and look all gross. We're gonna have lines come out of the tank just straight, and then hop it right up into the regulator, and then come around into the fuel rail, and then yeah, that'll be the whole fuel system done. I gotta start the tedious process of taking off all of these little screws in here on the fuel hat. I'm pretty sure this has never been touched in the 200,000 miles that this car has been alive for. So yeah, this is gonna be a very fun process just to see what everything's gonna look like. Okay, use a 5/16 or 8mm to take out all of them instead of just screws. And now, here is the pump. Maybe. Boom. Wow, that's wild. Okay, so now we got both of the pumps next to each other. Looking at the instructions on Powerhouse Racing's website, there really isn't much that we need off of this pump. The biggest thing we need is just the sending unit. This is the main piece we needed. And to get it off, all it was is you gotta pull off these two tabs, like pull them apart, and then it slides right off of there. Obviously be careful so you don't break them, but this whole piece is just gonna slide right into the bracket right here. So we're about to get into just building this pump, because like I said, we're done with this one now. Shouldn't need anything else. Actually, the last thing I need is just this little O-ring for the tank. But yeah, we'll build this and then keep things going. So crusty. Oh. Oh. Sheesh, look at that. This is sick. Having legit like parts. Alrighty. Pumps clamped in. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Finished assembling the rest of the hanger. Got all the wiring done. It wasn't too hard. They do talk about how short it is for some of these ground cables. The ground cable from this pump right here barely reaches, but it's a fairly easy install. They say that it's a difficult task, but honestly, if you just read the instructions, it's pretty simple. Alright, so now it's time to install the hanger. They talk about how tight of a fit it is, so this is probably going to be a very eventful time.
So, what's going on, Nick? Tell us about it.
Basically, the sending unit part is, there's a little tab and it's just not sliding in. It's a tight fit. They in Powerhouse's racing instructions online, they talk about it. They say it is a tight fit. And yeah, it's proven to be true. Everything is like running into everything. One of the things they do say is that you can pry back like that edge a little bit to make it better. If you have 3 pumps, you're supposed to do that. I'm kind of wishing I did, but I'm also this far to where I don't want to try taking it out again. I'm kind of just determined. So, we're still going to keep going.
Yep, full send or no send, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's take a look at the time right now.
Make our life more difficult.
It is currently
104.
104. So, we'll come back.
Okay, so just gonna take the L. We took it out. I'm gonna end up bending that ring back a little bit just so that way we can actually fit it. I need to put in the fittings anyways. It'll probably be easier to do it now than inside the car. So it was a blessing in disguise. Got all the fittings in, the ones that we needed. We're gonna run 1 outlet and then a return. Bent this back a little bit to give it more of an opening. So hopefully this will be a little bit easier. We'll find out. If not, it's gonna suck. So. feels like it's like not
Going all the way.
Yeah, like something's holding it up.
Yeah, I can see that. Alright, Nick, update.
Okay, so we're having a lot of troubles getting this in. We put it down, or we finally got it to sit, but there was a huge gap and we couldn't figure out why. And also, with the hardware they gave us, it was too short. Once it's sitting down like that, the threads don't really reach. So went to Home Depot, grabbed some longer threaded bolts, and pulled it out, and we checked. It was basically just the wires for the sender were sitting out too far, so it was just being sandwiched between it. I didn't realize how much you had to bend it once you put, you know, the wires into that sending unit, and to tighten it out of the way. So other than that, I went back in pretty smoothly, thankfully. Just bolting all this stuff down. We'll get the ground wire connected somewhere to the chassis, and then we'll do the sending unit wires. And then we're either gonna start with wiring in the pumps, or we're gonna just jump into the lines. So we'll figure that out once we get there. But for now, bolt it in, sender, and then yeah. Right now what I'm focusing on is I'm just gonna finish the wiring for the fuel system, just because that's the biggest task at the moment. Making and running fuel lines isn't completely terrible. It's just more tedious. The other day, made the first fuel line for the GS, just to kind of see how, well, just to get a taste of it, and also just kind of see, like, I got the black vibrant line, super nice. Made this little bracket that I still got to paint for my regulator, which I probably should. But before I finish making the rest of the fuel lines, I just want to get the wiring done. Making the lines will be like the reward. The current plan of attack is to wire up all the power cables. So you have this harness by itself right here, and then you have this harness. So these are two separate power harnesses that just go through fuses and make things safer. So I'm going to run those up to where I have a sub-wire or a couple sub-wires. I got these 8-point distribution blocks from Summit. They just have one main stud for your power or ground, and you know, there are 8 different points to distribute the power. So I'm gonna have to take the back seat out, but running it through there, it's gonna come out here. And then I'm just gonna put the little block probably up there somewhere or something. And then I'm going to take the power wire that's running to my amp. Also, I just wanna say, sorry for all of the weird wiring in this car. I didn't do any of it. The only thing I did is my starry night wiring. And I made this power wire ground wire because I was having ground issues for my amp. But there's a bunch of stereo wires that I haven't touched. It's from the previous owner. The power wire though is going to go onto the distribution block. It's going to be the main power, and then I'm going to have a power wire going to my amp just so I can run that still. And then I'm just going to connect the fuel system harness to however many of the connecting points I need, and then hopefully we'll have power and a working fuel system. Alright, so whenever you pull the back seats out, you kind of just have like this yeah, there's just like a little trunk cover, and it has like a little hole that just goes right to the trunk. But this thing definitely had like a sound system, or I have no idea what, because like that's a rechargeable battery that goes into whatever box this is, and I think these wires go up into, I honestly don't know what. Also, look at that ground. Look at that. Three screws into the ground. Hopefully it's grounded enough, but yeah. Okay, so I laid everything out to get a better idea. So this is where your main power is gonna come from, into these fuses. This whole harness connects to this plug, which goes into those relays, and then from there you have these trigger wires, and then the power wires for your pumps. This is where it's important if you want 2 or 3 pumps, because they'll only send you whatever wires you purchase. It's not like their fuel hat where you can take out the plugs and stuff for the third pump if you want to run it. For the harness side of it, they'll only give you the 2 wires. I have the wire right here, so it's already running through. The part I'm still kind of trying to figure out is where to mount the relays. So I was thinking of tucking it up into here and just having some bolts long enough to where it can mount on the other side, because then these studs fit right inside of the rail. And it should be behind the back seat, so nothing to worry about. Another thing too, power wires will be long enough to reach. The trigger wires might need to be extended, just like a little bit though. We'll worry about that in a minute. Actually, no, they won't. If I did that there, the trigger wires cool. Okay. So yeah, I'll run to Home Depot. I'm gonna grab some hardware and then can finish wiring this. We got my relays all mounted up. They're pretty solid. I got the wiring all basically plugged in. I have the plug that goes to the fuses here. I just took all the slack and put it over here. I'll zip tie it, make it look clean. But we have our distribution block there with the power wire, and then this is, you know, for the fuses. And then what I'm gonna end up doing is putting the ground one over here because I have to run a bunch of ground wires. And by a bunch, I just mean I have to run this one for the fuel hat, these ones for the triggers. So I can just do basically what I did with that one. I'll use the ground wire from my amp. I'll ground it to here, so this to the distribution block, and then I'll have a ground going to the amp and then those other wires. So just keep things clean and organized. And then my dad's also gonna help with the AN lines, making those, that way we can knock those out. It just bugs me how many just random stereo wires are just hanging out. Okay, so got the cover back on. The fuel pump is all wired up. Fuel pumps are all wired up. Now we just need to make the AN lines. We already got the first AN line made with the 45 degree. And we just gotta figure out where all the fuel filter, flex fuel sensor, where all that's gonna go. So right now we are currently just one dash 6 fuel fitting away from starting the car. It stripped on us while we were doing the last line. So I mean, drive shaft's in, the rest of the fuel system's done. Got all the Haltech stuff downloaded on my computer. I mean, the only other real thing I can finish, or that I can think of that I really need to finish, is basically just cutting these lines. These the thicker ones from my blow valve. This one's from under my intake manifold. I'm cutting these so that way I can tee them together, and then the tee also has to go to my regulator. I have to run one of the boost lines also to my boost gauge, and then one to my ECU. That way it can read the boost pressure. So it's gonna be a lot of tees and one vacuum hose. That last upper radiator hose, they sent me the wrong one, and then fill it with coolant, double check my trans fluid, and then load the base map and letter 8. So I'm probably gonna end this video here. Like I said, I apologize again if it's been very choppy. It's been consecutive weeks worth of work, so it's been kind of hard to kind of tell where I've been at with, you know, certain clips and everything. So thank you guys for bearing with me with that. I'm very excited, like, just to have this guy just running on its own power. It's very exciting. And I can't wait to put my whole interior back together because I can't stand it being all apart and all unorganized and stuff. So I'm very excited, very soon, very, very soon. So if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.